Hey everyone, this is Darren, and Micala is here, but I am the only official Froze Bro here today. So, you know what? I'm still going to say we are the Froze Bros, and this is the comedy podcast about frozen food. I have a great guest here today, a first-time guest, Micala. Welcome, Micala.
Hello, everyone.
We met, like most of our guests on here, and Mike and I ourselves, in an improv class.
Yes, our beloved improv.
Yeah. That was a couple years ago, probably.
Yeah, I was pregnant. So that was, let's see, 2022. So that would be...
Oh, wow. Almost 3 years.
Well,
I think it was in the fall.
It was in the fall because I was very pregnant. In fact, I think not quite along the same lines of Frozen, but I did have an iced coffee and I had walked into the first class an hour late, not realizing I was an hour late, and I had clearly stopped for coffee on my way in and felt like I spoiled the skit that everybody was doing. But now we're here 2.5 years later and two kids later. So I've had that baby, and then I had another baby, and now I'm back in improv, but not with you guys.
Yeah, different improv classes. But yeah, you're at Improv Asylum, which has come up in the pod a couple times, I think.
Has it? Yeah, I just started level 4 actually. So yeah, but it was fun. But it's not you guys. It's not our team.
It was a good team that was together.
Yes.
Yeah. Except Mike. Don't tell him that. We let him think.
Can we talk about Mike?
Yeah. He doesn't listen to his own podcast, so.
I didn't know if I should chime in for him as the Froze Bros.
He knows I'm kidding. I love you, Mike.
Does this make me an official Froze Bro?
No, never. No,
it's only. No. I'm sorry. Okay.
Never on your first episode. It took max 4 or 5, I think.
I have to earn that. Find some more frozen treats and be featured more often.
Did you suggest what we're eating today, or did I suggest the concept generally and you said the brand?
No, at first we talked about, I wanted to get into ice cream.
Yeah, we haven't recorded that yet, but we might still do ice cream.
I'll be happy any day of the week to come back and talk about ice cream. And then I said, oh, you know what we should talk about is food that's frozen for children, because I'm now totally centered around my kids and trying to be cool still. But I thought, okay, there is this product that I use all the time, and maybe that would be a totally different direction that the Froze Bros could take a look at, that I can bring some insight into.
Yeah, I love the idea. So you heard that right, everyone. We're eating frozen baby food.
Yes, frozen baby food and wine.
And we have a glass of wine here also. It pairs well with a red.
It's my night off, so.
We're actually going to be picking at this. I've got a spoon. But
I've suggested that we eat this the way my toddler eats this, which is with our fingers. But
if the spoon gets too loud, I might do that.
Right. Okay.
But before we get into this food itself, you got to get the questions that everyone here on this pod gets, and Mike and I talk about each week too. So, what kind of frozen food eater are you? What's in the freezer now? Do you eat a lot of frozen food?
When I say that I cook, what I mean is I pulled something out of the freezer, put it in the microwave, put it on a plate, and that was me making dinner for the night. I feel I primarily, especially at this point, cooking has never been for me. I feel like I have just made the effort to search for, quote, healthier frozen food, because I pretty much live on things that I can make in 5 minutes, and that usually is frozen.
I have a lot of stuff too from the freezer. My family always has. Not so much when I was a young kid. My mother made food and froze it. It wasn't good food. I've joked down here. People have heard my mother was the only Italian woman who can't cook. But there was always stuff she'd bought or made and then frozen, but not a lot of novelty things like pizza bagels or pizza rolls or taquitos or things. But now I eat all of that stuff.
And I feel like thanks to Trader Joe's, it's made it easier to feel like you're eating healthier too when you eat frozen meals. And I feel that I don't know if I even would say that I cook and eat pre-prepared meals that we made that are frozen. I literally mean go to the store, buy something in a box, and put it in my freezer.
Yeah, you got to do it sometimes.
Yeah, I raid pretty much the chicken tikka masala or the Trader Joe's mac and cheese when they're out of them or low. That's a bad day for me. So
Trader Joe's does have great freezer selections.
we could do a whole series. I could sit down and talk extensively, but
we have been to Trader Joe's, tried a few of their products, liked most of it.
The fact that they have different cuisines, right?
Yeah.
You can try.
Mike and I have talked a little bit lately about having some political differences with Trader Joe's, but
I forgot about that. I just heard about that. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. They're not as great as people thought they were. But
yes, I think, did you tell me about that maybe?
Maybe.
I can't remember. Okay. Mom brain.
Yeah. But no one's going to break Trader Joe's by not doing some shopping there. But
these you got at Whole Foods, what we're doing today.
Yes, what we're eating today is at Whole Foods.
This brand makes a lot of different items, but I always have a hard time finding them. And this Whole Foods here, not all Whole Foods, but this one does carry a pretty good selection of them.
You go to the Cambridge...
The one in Fresh
Pond.
I used to work at the one on River Street.
Don't come looking for us. We're pinpointing our location possibly more than we have before.
Because we have three. We have 3 Whole Foods in Cambridge.
I can think of 2. I don't know.
No, there's the one on Magazine Street too, right? Is it Magazine Street there? It's just a tiny little sort of neighborhood Whole Foods.
Not far from Memorial Drive?
Yes. So there's the one on River Street, right? Which is the one that I worked at, which is probably the worst one to work at because it's the one where you have to lift the tubs and deliver it has it's on the 2nd floor. So all day long, pretty much people came up to me and said, how do I get out of here? I have to say the same way you came in because they go up the stairs or the escalator. They have a bunch of groceries. Now they have to get back down. But you can drive up and have the groceries put in your car. But there is a smaller one further down too. And then if you count the fact that the one in Somerville is just over the border, we're pretty much surrounded by Whole Foods.
Brighton's not too far away either, really. So
I don't think I've been there. Yeah. As opposed to like when I'm in California, which I spend half the time out there, I actually have to drive you have to drive everywhere in California to get somewhere, but I have to drive like 45 minutes sometimes on a good day to get to a Whole Foods. So
yeah. Well, in Boston, we're used to driving 40 minutes or so just to get 10 miles.
That's true. So I used to walk. I just walked to work. Help me work off the frozen food that I live in. Yeah,
I walk over to that one too. It's a long walk. So again, do not try to figure out where we live. But yeah, I walk to the grocery a lot too. I love it. I had a grocery store job growing up too. I think it was my first or second job.
Tell me it was the frozen food department.
No, it was a small town grocery store. Wasn't even a big name. It was an independent it was called Price Buster.
What was your job?
Just general stocking and bagging. The owners of this wanted it to be an old-timey place where there'd be bag boys, and then they would happily carry your bags to your car for you and say absolutely not when offered any tip. And
we should bring those back. I wouldn't mind that.
I took the tips though, when I always did we're not supposed to. But
yeah.
The old
but if
ladies
you really want to
take it. So come after me if you're hearing this. But they went so into the stereotype though that only girls could be cashiers, boys could only be baggers and stock boys.
Okay.
I asked if I could, because bagging groceries, sometimes the cashier would have questions about how to do something.
Right.
And just from standing there watching all the time, I knew exactly what had to be done and would show them. I asked at one point, could I just be a cashier? And no, you can't. So it was kind of the reverse sexism of what happens most of the time.
Right.
So,
yeah, you were stuck carrying groceries outside, rain or shine.
And then I went to be a bag teller.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a swing.
That was my job summers near the end of high school and through college.
Well, I went let's see. Well, I went from grocery shopping to wanting to be an actor. So there
No,
you go.
right to there. Okay.
All right.
Have you had anything great to eat lately that started frozen?
The started frozen.
Or any frozen foods? I just try to find new ways to say that.
What was the most recent, aside from my regular staples? Oh, I know. I tried. Can I say brands?
Yeah, absolutely.
I had been looking for a quick one and done breakfast situation because with the two kids, I feel like even just making eggs, I end up with a sink full of dishes. I mean, because that's just my second favorite thing about not only the time consumption, not having to cook, is the cleanup for frozen food is usually a lot easier, especially if you're like me that eats it directly out of the tray. But I found these sausage like links that are wrapped in a pancake that are made by Applegate Farms that are come out of the freezer, and basically you just warm them up, and it's like a grab and go. I was trying to think of things that I could just grab really quickly, but that had protein in it because I was healing after my second baby, and so they were actually really good. I have to say, I should probably pick up some more of them, but that would be my newest favorite sort of quick breakfast, because I definitely, out of all the meals of the day, breakfast is the one that I have the least time for. And that's the one that I have to grab, because I do actually try to give my children a variety of foods, but that leaves little time for me. So I live on frozen foods. While they do love what we're going to talk about today, I just want to make clear, I don't keep them living on the frozen meals that's too much sodium. So that's one of the things I like about what we're going to talk about today too. So
all right.
Frozen meals are for adults only.
Mike and I have learned that because we want to talk about what we've been eating lately, we're never going to remember it unless we take pictures. I've also got a mouthful of some food. We're going through with this. I got from Saffron Road, which makes a lot of frozen Indian food, and actually Mexican dish, chicken enchiladas poblano. I tried that recently. I found that at Whole Foods when I was picking up the baby food today.
I haven't delved into the Saffron Road brand too far yet. Is that your first time trying something from them?
It is.
How was it?
It was pretty good. It was enchiladas, rice and beans. The beans were sort of a weird texture.
Okay.
And also, they weren't great, but there weren't many of them. So I don't know, maybe that was good. The enchiladas themselves and the sauce, pretty good. Pretty good. It's something I will probably try again.
Okay. I'll have to give it a go.
But we should probably finish this up during a quick break.
Okay.
And then we can come back and dig into our baby food entrees from Once Upon a Farm. I don't think we said the brand yet, but
no, yeah, Once Upon a Farm.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about them. So we will be right back. And we're back. There's usually a repeat of that because Mike or I say it first and then the other one says it second. So I'm kind of missing Mike here today, but
I know.
It's nice to have some baby comfort food.
Lovely snack of Once Upon a Farm frozen meals that are meant for, this one says 12 plus months and this one says 6 plus months.
So we tried two. We can rate them. I think we're going to rate them separately because to me, there was one that was much better than the other. The beginning at 6 months one is organic, plant-rich meals, peas past the greens, and that is peas, zucchini, avocado oil. It's
called Past the Greens.
There were some seeds.
Oh, peas past the greens. Sorry.
Peas past the greens.
I get it. It's a play on words. Look at that.
Peas past the greens.
And then what was your rating here?
We'll talk a lot through that. We'll give the rating at the end of this segment.
Okay. Hold off. And then
the other one is organic pasta meals, pomodoro, pasta and tomatoes and carrots with EVOO. EVOO, is that the fancy way to say it, like from the chefs? Extra virgin olive oil.
There we go. All right. So
you knew, I did not know this brand. I've got she's been mentioned on the pod before, a 23 8-year-old daughter, we did not, I don't know if frozen baby foods existed then. Probably somewhere.
Maybe not organic ones. I mean, so this company was started in 2015, I believe. And I think it was kind of following along with that trend. But it's kind of, a woman wanted to kind of get better food into her children. And I think that we're in this like time period where moms are really busy, but they also want their kids to eat healthy. So how can we get a quick meal that's healthy? And that's where these saved my parenting experience, which I can get into if you want me to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So when I started feeding my daughter, I had been reading a lot about baby-led weaning, which is, this concept of kind of giving, when you start giving solids, you give, say, rather than cutting up a banana really tiny, you would just give half a banana or a banana to, and intuitively children will learn to
stick the entire thing down their throat and choke.
That's what my daughter did, and that's what freaked me out.
Yeah.
But, babies do have like their body will generally tell them like, no, don't eat this. And but it was, my daughter had a specific issue that called laryngomalacia actually. And there was it was so much anxiety for me going on at the time that while I incorporated some of the concepts of baby-led weaning, which is it's self-directed kind of, babies intuitively know, okay, like, you don't want to hand them something like a grape. That's a big choking hazard, but, you don't have to necessarily cut up everything really tiny. And it was kind of, I think, started to kind of get away from just everything being like processed in a jar. But, it's some people, like a friend of mine, her son learned to eat so well by basically doing this, but it wasn't going to work for me. And so I was terrified of my daughter choking. And even though that's part of the process that you kind of have to tolerate sometimes with baby-led weaning is watching them kind of gag on something and kind of spit it back out. I was cutting up everything really tiny. I didn't want to go that direction except, for when it, very, very monitored times. So I was going crazy. I was trying to find things that were tiny because it's so time consuming to cut up something tiny.
Yeah. I remember I have some cousins with younger cousins. I remember at picnics and things, like one of my cousins cutting a hot dog into what had to be about 500 pieces.
Yeah, because hot dogs are like on the choking hazard list.
Yeah,
that's like one of the worst ones. Yeah.
And then they eat like so little of it. So you know what? Cut a quarter of that hot dog and then maybe cut that up into smaller pieces and cut as you go along, maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
So, no, but it was so scary to me. And so I was doing that. And I mean, I read all these things. I would go find ditalini pasta, which is just like these little tiny with the little round circles so that, the air, if they did choke on it, the air would go through it. It was the only pasta I would feed my daughter. What we have today has elbows, which she has graduated to. And so I would get peas. I would do frozen peas. I would do sometimes like you can get the peas and carrots mixed and they'd be tiny. But then even some things that you would get, even though they'd be cut up tiny, they wouldn't be cut up tiny enough in my mind for my infant. So I was on the hunt for that. I'm always on the hunt for healthier food and organic. And I'm always on the hunt for things that don't have a ton of salt or sugar or, just additives and things that have vegetables, not just carbohydrates and things like that. And I found these. Once Upon a Farm is a company, but they make frozen foods. And these saved me. And I started with, I think this one actually, because I'm always trying to get, they say eat the rainbow, the color palette for babies. You don't want just what they call like a beige plate, meaning like mac and cheese and bread.
I eat a lot of beige now.
I know. We all want to eat beige, right? We want beige, but beige is not always what's best for us.
Pasta, popcorn, bread.
Yeah. Oh, if I let her, she would literally live on nutrition bars like that. Earth's Best, then, the cookie. She calls it a cookie because that's what we, But so I found these, and these are not like, I feel like I'm selling it. These are not only a great way to get vegetables in your child, but they're fast to make too, but they really are. Only problem I have with these is I can't find them at many places. So you found them.
I found them at Whole Foods near us. Like we were talking earlier, there were 3 or 4 or 5 Whole Foods within a mile.
Yes, but not all Whole Foods have the frozen food. They have so they also make pouches. They also make cookie bars, like, not cookie bars, nutrition bars, and they make other items, but these, I don't know if they're just not as popular or what it is, but for me, I'm always finding it's one of the first things I'll ask Whole Foods is, do you know if you carry these? And I'll always put a word into Whole Foods like, can you please carry these? Because I'll just go in there, and what I like about them too is they do have, if they have the full spread, there's a variety. And I feel like if I pick one of each packet, and then that's, a different vegetable, sometimes I even offer one or two a day. So
there were 2 shelves of these in the Whole Foods I went to.
Love it. Yes.
I think maybe 6 to 8 different varieties.
Right.
I saw 1 or 2 curry, stayed away from that.
So I told you to stay away from it. But listen, here's the thing. That's actually one of my daughter's favorites. And that one actually has carrots in it. And, she'll gobble it up. But I learned the hard way that obviously eating with little toddler fingers, I have made the terrible mistake of choosing a lot of white furniture pieces when I was married before I had children.
We did that too. The time my daughter was born.
I have curry stains all over my home.
We had a sofa. I'm pointing to one right now. It was even lighter than this.
Oh no!
It stayed with us 19 years.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, and it was just a multicolored.
Destroyed. Yeah.
It ended up in a basement where it died.
Ivory and toddler fingers covered in but they are so I have like kind of rules that I go by. I have the ones that I give her when I know that I can't sit there and just wipe her hands off immediately after when I'm gonna kind of be busy. And then I have like my different Once Upon a Farm frozen meals for different reasons. And I could talk extensively about them, I feel like. I also have the subscription. They have a subscription.
Yeah, just talk a little bit about the subscription.
You can, it's a super fun. So we were in California, we were back out in California. I mean, it's like, it was so crazy that I thought, okay, I don't want to sign up for a subscription because I'll inevitably leave the box. I'll forget to change the address and the box will sit in one place or the other. But so I finally did it because I am here for a time in Boston having my second baby, and I signed up for it, and it started arriving, and you basically can go in and choose. They actually have a few that I've never seen in stores, and they also have a lot of the fruit smoothie ones. You can also buy the frozen.
Oh, try that.
The fruit ones. I don't think they have them in the stores always, but you can, get those too. So I signed up for the subscription, and they did deliver, as promised, a box of about 16 of these, I think is like the going. I think there's different ways that you can set up your subscription. Mm-hmm. And it comes on dry ice, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So and I have to say that one time, and it wasn't that we left it sitting, it had gotten delayed in shipping. And I called them, and immediately they reshipped me the box. Like, no questions asked. They understood completely. So they're like a company that stood by their subscription plan.
It may or may not be dry ice. There are other ways.
The one you're not supposed to touch.
Yeah, I guess that is. There was some other one. I remember this because I said something was dry ice with another company we ordered from. Micala. It's an Italian food place out of Jersey. And it turned out that wasn't dry ice, which isn't really a big deal to me if it is or not. Cool it, whatever way you want.
Somebody might be upset.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Well, sometimes in these days and times, there are people who are very sensitive and get upset about things that they have no business caring about.
Okay. So I don't know how it's packaged, but I know a square cardboard box shows up on my front porch.
And everything's still frozen using some technology.
Yes, and everything's still frozen. I literally open it up. I open up my freezer, and these go right into my freezer. And they don't take up a lot of space. That's such an important thing to note too, right? They are small. You can see like they're the size of, they can fit in my hand.
Yeah, I easily had room in these for the freezer.
So portion-wise, they're great too.
Yeah, like a year ago, pre-podcast, there were 1 or 2 things in my freezer at a time. Now I'm just grabbing stuff that I think is interesting and stuff I want Mike to try. Sometimes either because, he's going to love this, or just as equally sometimes, he's going to hate this. I can't wait to make him eat it.
I really think the next time you see him, you have to be like, here's your Once Upon a Farm. And see what he says.
I took pictures of these. We take pictures of everything we try, but I am going to text them to Mike as soon as we're done. And I want him to see what he's missed.
Yes. There's a good chance that if you come over and I'm cooking, I might offer you one of these at this point in my life. I'm literally, you can see, they probably can't see. Obviously, nobody
No.
can see me right now, but you can see that I'm actually still picking and eating this
Yeah.
as I'm talking to you, which is kind of my point that I love about these two that I wanted to make is that I also don't mind snacking on these. And I get a few vegetables in me while I'm feeding.
Yeah, I don't eat nearly enough vegetables either. And I'm a middle-aged guy who's going to start losing inches from my already challenged height if I don't eat better.
I can bring my children over and you can sit for them. And then by default, you'll be finishing up Once Upon a Farm meals. My daughter sometimes does pick out, which I love. She picks out the carrots and the things that she likes.
Yeah.
And sometimes I luck out and those are vegetables. And then I just finish up the rest. So
I remember with my daughter, she had I don't know the process is the word I'm looking for, but the pureed food. I remember that.
Yeah.
That's like
This is
mostly
like
just
the
that
step
for the first.
after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my daughter was a little ahead on things because we were living near my mother-in-law, who was a nurse. But when my daughter was just a month, maybe 6 weeks old, she started giving her cereal already.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which is a little before that's recommended. It was and if you don't know, anyone who's listening, when I say cereal, you're not thinking of Frosted Flakes in a bowl. It's more like
it's like a thickener.
An incredibly watered down oatmeal, but with no thick parts in it whatsoever. A soupy porridge.
But that's the thing, right? Like a lot of baby food is really gross. It's something we wouldn't eat, right? But this is really just vegetables cut up really small that just don't have any seasoning. So like that's how I explain it to people if they say like, what does it taste like? I'm like, it tastes like vegetables if you just didn't really coat it in Alfredo sauce or something else. And so it tastes like when you're cooking and you're going along the way and the peas come out, if you fell on the counter and you pop them in your mouth, that's what it would taste like. Like it literally just tastes like a pea. Peas past the green.
Yeah. So yes, we're not talking about pureed baby food here. This is for 6 months and up for the peas, 1 year and up, I think, for the pasta.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. I didn't really notice there's no seasoning on that, and yet it didn't taste incredibly bland. It was better than like just taking a scoop of peas from a bag of frozen peas and making that.
Right.
Those just taste like watery mush. You got to season. You need salt, pepper, butter, whatever you put on there, hot sauce, anything.
Okay.
But
I'm looking now on their site, and maybe they don't have smoothies. Maybe I was wrong. I think I was thinking of
maybe a different company.
The bowls. That's what I think I was thinking of. They have. I know why I said that. I actually did try to make a few of these into a smoothie.
Really?
Yeah, to see if I could, because like I said, my daughter was picking out the things that she liked, and so I thought, there was one that was sweet spinach and barley. And I tried to put that into a smoothie with a banana, but it,
didn't work.
No. So I forced myself to drink it.
We could, Froze Prose can make some popsicles out of these things, maybe too.
I don't know.
We've got a segment called Pop Quiz,
Pomodoro popsicle,
where I make a popsicle out of something that undisclosed that then Mike and our guest and whoever has to guess what it is.
If my two kids will eat a vegetable by having a Froze Prose popsicle past the peas, then I will take it.
Challenge accepted. I'm going to see if we can make a popsicle out of this. Maybe add in some kale or something.
Well, we can look at the different flavors. You could do, golden cauliflower and carrot. I don't know about that one. Maybe the sweet potato raspberry mash. I don't think I've tried that one.
Sweet potato. I might have seen that today.
That could be an okay popsicle. Yeah. Oh, wait, no. This is one. This is the, banana berry acai and mixed berry crumble.
Mike, the next popsicle I'm going to give you will be... I've also been thinking of giving you a popsicle so that you can get... That's for a future pop quiz. These were both better than I expected.
I'm still eating it, as you can see.
The peas could be a really good side dish for any meal.
I am the most boring. I'll try anything, but again, not being a cook,
Mm-hmm.
I tend to eat really bland. So this is not far from what you would get if you came to my house and I made you a vegetable side anyway. So
the peas aren't terribly bland. The pasta is. Now, let's just start looking at what our usual review criteria are. The packaging is really nice. It's a fairy tale-ish logo or font there, Once Upon a Farm. That's what they're going
and
for,
they
Clara.
color coordinate, like, you know that when you're picking up one of the green ones, you know that's a green vegetable too. And like the pomodoro has tomato in it, so that one's red.
Mm-hmm.
And they make it really clear at the top whether it's one for 6 months plus or 12 months plus, so you don't,
There are directions to make these on the stovetop and in the microwave. I asked you what you wanted to do.
And I said that I have never made one of these. I didn't know. In an attempt in the early days, just trying to just be the perfect mother, I did try it on the stovetop, but I very quickly moved to the microwave.
Yeah, that's what I would have chosen on my own too. These are because you want something quick and without a lot of hassle.
True.
So I can't imagine that it's going to come out that differently if you make it on the stovetop. And I don't know, does the back of the package even recommend one over the other?
Nope, it just has, oh, sorry, I'm lying. It says simple stovetop recommend. By the way, I did notice on the front that it actually does say uses finger food.
Okay.
So I was not in the wrong to be picking at this.
No,
I think they mean for children, but
I was wrong.
So no, it does say that the stovetop is recommended. And actually, now that I'm looking at that, I do remember that it said that. But that would change the game for me. The fact that I can put it in the microwave saves me.
Yeah.
Because what I often do is I throw it in the microwave, I put it on the timer, I go off to do something, and then I get a task done, change a diaper, wash a couple dishes, try to very quickly clean the bathroom that has bath crayons all over my tub, and then rush back, and usually it has to sit for a minute. You cook it, and then you have to let it sit just so it cools down. And then that buys me another sort of time window that I rush around and do something. And that's what
it cooled down quickly, but that's what you want for kids anyway. This shouldn't be hot.
Yes. Right. And the fact that it's all very quick too, when you're in that moment where my stress level is up because somebody's hungry and I don't have a lot of time, it helps bring that.
Yeah. Now, could you make these over a campfire in the Froze Apocalypse?
What's the Froze Apocalypse?
The Froze Apocalypse is a zombie apocalypse where we only get to have certain frozen foods with us.
I would only bring Once Upon a Farm, because the last thing I want to deal with in a Froze Apocalypse is my 2-year-old standing there whining because they don't like the food I found for them. I would, and also, like I said, we can eat them too. There we go.
Yes, that if I had known about these in that Froze Apocalypse draft, I would have picked these two.
Right. I mean, they are handy. They kind of look like the MREs, they call them, the meals.
Yes. Yeah. We did some freeze-dried astronaut ice cream.
Oh, how was that?
It wasn't terrible. The freeze-dried food we tried, which is meant to be brought on camping trips or for preppers, was better than I expected. The freeze-dried ice cream sandwich was better than what I remembered it as when I was a kid and went to a space museum. It was just dust.
I remember trying that.
There's
a
little bit of
a dry.
If you let it melt, there's a little bit of creaminess to it now.
Oh.
And I think it used to be just.
They made it better.
It was dusty. Kind of liked it. But anyway, we take these in the Froze Apocalypse. Absolutely. Once Upon a Farm. They're so easy to make.
Yeah.
Looks good too. The pasta does not really have a tomato sauce in it.
No.
Which is so I was a little disappointed, but I hadn't thought, but it's a pasta with diced tomatoes and carrots. And
but you would be thankful that this was not a red sauce going back to the curry.
Oh, absolutely.
With a toddler and a white couch.
Yeah. The red sauces, the curries only work when you can keep them in that high chair somewhere and they cannot get out and once they leave. They're still going to be dyeing their hair with that, though.
Yes, I have come back to a baby. I won't come back, but I have turned away and turned back to a baby covered in hummus. So
Your
I
kids
like
have
the pieces.
dark hair, so they're not really dyeing their hair with any of this, right?
No, but I like that about this too. If you notice that this is really actually something that really couldn't smear.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
they're eating vegetables, they're eating healthy food, but it's also like not too difficult to clean up. So
Yeah,
I think that's the third selling point, right? Is that it's
Yeah.
fast, it's healthy, and the cleanup is pretty.
Yeah, my daughter for her first couple of years had platinum blonde, or what's that? Just super
Oh, yeah.
blonde, and any food that got in there.
Oh, just totally stained her hair.
Yeah.
Aw.
Her hair's gotten a little darker now. Same for my wife and myself, I think. I know towhead was kind of the word I was looking for.
Yes. Yes.
I wasn't quite that, but my hair would just change during the year. Out in the
Right.
sun in the summer, it
Yeah.
just on its own, I became very blonde.
Well, I like these.
Now I'm just graying to the color of dead grass. Taste, texture, all good, all good. The noodles were a little soft, the way you want them to be for a child. You're not looking for al dente for a toddler.
Actually, yes. Actually, they recommend against that you're supposed to slightly overcook pasta
Yeah.
of all kinds when you hand them to children so they can chew on it.
We have this category called whimsy that Mike made up, and it was, does the food on its own make us happy? The package, the food, is it just sort of it's food, we eat it, it could be good, but no exciting feelings one way or the other? Or is something about the food or the packaging or anything about it just really off-putting and cringy?
No, I feel like it definitely has whimsy. I mean, just the whole culture of the company and everything that, I've been talking about, the colors, like the packaging, just how good you feel as a mom. Like that's a good day when you feel like a good mom, right?
It's a package that could, appeals to, the kids aren't doing the shopping at that age, but it's a colorful, almost cartoony package.
Yeah, it's like, and it's been fun to watch her learn. It's part of food at this size and this stage. It teaches them their pincer grasp, which is them using their like thumb and forefinger. So, I mean, what's more like whimsical than watching your child learn a new skill?
Mhm.
So I have a lot of now. I've been using this brand for so long that I have it kind of tied into my memories, my happy memories with my
Nice.
little. So. Yeah, I think it definitely has whimsy.
As an aside here, talking about that little grasp and the dexterity with the fingers, and always just wanted to talk about myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what my superpower is?
What?
I can use scissors with both hands.
That's a tough skill. Do you have to buy the left-handed scissors?
No, I don't buy the left-handed scissors.
You're just really like equally good.
Yeah.
So you're okay.
Not always, but I've got a weird history.
Ambidextrous.
I'm ambidextrous, probably originally left-handed. Both my parents were left-handed.
Right.
Learned to do a lot of stuff left-handed. I was probably one of the last people to go through Catholic school and have nuns just slap me into writing with my right hand. So that I write with my right hand.
Okay.
Things I learned to do earlier. I sometimes eat a little bit more with left hand. I will brush my teeth with my left hand.
That's funny that you write with your left.
I write now with my right hand. My left hand is somewhat legible if I write with it, but it's
Oh, so you do some things left and some things right.
Because I spent the first years of my education right up through high school in Catholic schools, and but it was just in like that first grade where I was until I started writing my hand.
Yes, you're not allowed.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
And I'm not sporty enough to have used that to an advantage.
How do you shoot pool?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Shoot pool, right.
I played Little League for a very short time, can catch either hand, though I always used a right-handed glove. Can't really hit either way. I don't do a lot of golfing, but I can sort of golf either side too.
Okay. So maybe you're just bad at baseball then.
But I think you're some of your clubs, your drivers and such, are made for one way or the other. But with a putter, I can use either side.
Okay, cool.
Which is sometimes helpful. Actually, in mini golf too, or putt-putt, where you're sometimes constricted into this small space and need to stand on some rocks or a windmill.
I've always wanted to be, fully like able to use. There's been times where I tried to practice things with my left hand just because you never know if you might need that skill.
Oh, and like dribbling a basketball?
Yeah.
I can't do that with either hand.
Okay.
So
that can go with the baseball.
No,
yeah.
I can't bounce and run at the same time. Maybe it's why I just don't like basketball.
Well, the nice thing about these is you can eat them with either hand.
All right. So one of the last things we've considered, actually, couple more. We've looked at ingredients because in a food we ate a few weeks ago, the ingredients list was just overwhelmingly long, and it made us start paying attention to that. Here, I think we've got some really good ingredients lists. This is just ridiculously short. This is amazing. The peas, ingredients: pea, zucchini, flaxseed, avocado oil, basil. That's it. That's all that's in there. It's just, when they say organic,
they're not kidding.
No.
Yeah.
And you know what? I like that they include flaxseed and basil for kids to start getting used to seasonings and things like that.
I shouldn't have said that they're not seasoned. It's just that they're lightly seasoned. But
lightly seasoned.
Yes.
But if you take it out of this, then eventually you've got a 3, 4, 5-year-old who's going to see like the slightest little piece of pepper and refuse to eat something.
Right, it's laying the foundation
so
for that
get them
palate.
used to eating that.
The only one that my daughter does not like is they have one that has mint. And I was like, I did the same thing. I thought, this is great. This will get her used to mint. But she didn't love it.
And the pasta, cooked pasta, so this is pre-cooked already because it's not going to cook in like 3 minutes. Tomato, carrot, extra virgin olive oil, basil, garlic even. I didn't taste garlic much. This one was a little bland, but still good.
But bland is what toddlers want.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. It's hard when you're trying to compare like whether we like it or whether a toddler likes it, and they do like their bland food. I must be a toddler at heart then, because I love these. I actually really do. This has been like a great way for me to get vegetables into me too, because you cannot survive solely on pumpkin muffins as a new mom.
There's maybe a little bit toddler in me too. I'm not sure. I've usually thought I was mostly like 13-year-old boy still, like a lot of guys are. But he has been very well behaved this episode, and maybe that boy will get a treat later, like a
popsicle, a raspberry and sweet potato popsicle.
Or a shot of whiskey or something. All right, so we grade the items we try here on an ice cube scale.
Okay.
From 1 to 5. Each of them has a name.
All right.
And you can go halves and quarters and whatever you want.
Okay.
If you absolutely love this, it is a 5, which is an ice cold killer.
Okay.
4, chilled out. 3, lukewarm. 2, warmed over. 1, hot mess.
Okay.
Yeah, you can give me the number or
for each one or for the whole.
Let's do each one because I think I might have different ratings for the two of these.
I do too. Okay.
Okay.
I already know that I'm gonna rate the peas I can't say it. Peas past the greens. I keep wanting to say peas past the peas. Peas past the greens is a 5. Definitely a 5 for me.
Ice cold killer. You are definitely taking Mike's place here. He throws around those 5s like nobody's business.
No, it's my vegetable.
This is really good.
Toddler's vegetable. It's easy to make. This is probably the one I pick out the most when I get there.
Mike, at this point, I hope you're not listening, but I'm going to make you try this sometime. You're going to have this. Maybe in some summer drinks. How about that blended with gin? I might be going in places that we shouldn't be talking about.
A Negroni and a frozen baby meal. Nice. Saturday night. Okay, now my Pomodoro, it is Only because I just keep looking at it, and this is my vote on it. My daughter would probably give it a 5, but I would probably say this one for me is a 3. And
Ooh,
I
3.
think a 3. And only because I'd probably look at it and think, oh God, I'd love to be at an Italian restaurant having an Italian meal right now. And then I eat it and I remember that I'm standing in my kitchen, which is how I eat most meals, and I'm watching my toddler eat. So, but I think that the flavor for it for me is a little bit needs a kick.
I'm going to be somewhat near yours. Peas past the peas is really better than I expected, and you could pass this off at a dinner party. You had enough of these. This is a nice vegetable side dish. I'm not going to buy this again, but I think in this case that needs to not take away any points. I just don't have the need to buy this again. And if I really wanted it, I need to have like 3 or 4 of these. I can't give it an ice cold killer, not a 5. And I don't have any other solid. I don't have any
to use it every day.
No,
yeah.
And I don't have any other. I don't even have any other frozen baby food to compare it to. But that was just so fucking impressive. I'll give it a 4.
I'll take the 4.
4.5.
I'll take the 4 from somebody.
Yeah. So that's a chill. I think we've called this one chilled out to the max.
Okay, so, chilled out to the max. For someone that doesn't have to deal with littles every day.
Right. The Pomodoro is, equally as impressive. Somehow, even though they've got garlic and basil in there, it's just really bland. You could not serve. This is toddler food. I think it's very clearly toddler food. Even if you just put a little salt on that, you can't.
You can't. Yeah.
You can't pass this off as a meal for an adult.
This would not be your favorite to finish when you make it for your toddler because they scream for it and then change their mind the second you handed it.
Yeah, I'd almost rather just have maybe the tomatoes and carrots without the overdone pasta in there. But
that's fair.
It's adding some carbs, which, have a bad name but are still useful too. If you're not already overdosing on bread and potatoes, the stuff I normally eat. For this, though, I won't go below a 3.
It's still a fair.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, so that's...
Because when most people think of baby food, they think like, oh, gross. Like, I mean,
mush. Yeah.
Mush,
so
mushy.
This is pretty good. So maybe we get this episode out to some new parents or some soon-to-be parents, or maybe we hear even some feedback from any of the things you talked about.
I would love that because I would love to spread the word and get everybody onto these and be able to find them at every single Foods that I walk into.
All right. So, good rating from us. Mike, you don't know what you missed. We are going to take a quick break, and we're coming back with a new segment. Boom. We are back again. We're back again. That was my poor impression of Mike. Let's do it with you saying. You can just repeat what I say. We're back again.
We're back again.
All right. We've got a new segment. This is called Froze Prose.
Okay.
Froze Prose. You need to identify the title and author of some quotes that I'm going to give you.
No. Oh no!
You can do these. Are all.
I have mom brain. I can't.
No, you can do this. You can do this. I put this together now because I just think that you are smarter than the morons that I normally record with.
But it's like that was that film where she's like a postpartum mother that talks about wanting to put all of her frustration into art. She said, "But my brain doesn't work right, and I'm dumb now."
I know. I remember that from. My wife doesn't listen to this either, too. So I can say, yeah, I remember that from, you just go absolutely
blank on things that I, watched for 10 years, What's that place that you go? I mean, I remember saying things like, what's that place where you go to buy food, like the grocery store,
And men just have no excuse. We get dumber without reason.
Okay.
But no, I think you'll be good at this.
No.
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quotes that from literature. It's called Froze Prose, but I will tell you up front, one of these is poetry, not prose. You'll know it when you hear it.
Okay.
And I'm not expecting you to get them when I give you the quote. So I have 3 clues for each one, too, that I think will help. There are 6 quotes for a possible 12 points. You just need to get 6 points to win this game. You can do it. I actually told our honorary Froze Bro, Max, that I was planning this game.
I feel like this was sprung on me.
And he loved the idea. And I also said to him, I'm doing this with Micala because the morons that I normally record with just wouldn't get any of these. Like within seconds, he sends me some quote with snow in it that I couldn't identify.
Oh, no.
So he made me look like the idiot.
I have to get the title and the author?
You get a point for each one.
Oh, God. Okay. All right.
You can do this. You can do this.
All right. Let's try it. Let's see how.
Right. And keeping with our theme today of baby food, these are all books from children's and young adults. We've got, also in keeping with our theme today, I don't know if anyone can hear this, but there's a baby who lives next to me, not alone, so don't worry that he's not mine. But yeah, you might have heard him out in the hallway, or maybe
upset that we're over here having Once Upon a Farm and not sharing.
Maybe he wanted it. I think he's like 2.5. Good walker, not very great at
listening,
expressing himself from listening.
That sounds like 2.
Yeah. All right. There are going to listen for things like character names who may give some of this away.
Okay.
But some of it's going to sound like you know, but then also not be obvious.
Okay.
So I think I said it already. All of these mention or relate or some mention of frost or ice or snow.
Okay.
So Froze Prose. Number 1. I don't know how it is, Christopher Robin, but what with all this snow and one thing and another, not to mention icicles and such like, it's not so hot in my field about 3 o'clock in the morning as some people think it is. It isn't close, if you know what I mean. So, as to not be uncomfortable, it isn't stuffy. In fact, Christopher Robin, he went on in a loud whisper, quite between ourselves and don't tell anybody, it's cold.
Well, that sounds like, is that Rabbit from Winnie the Pooh?
You're in the right series. It's not Rabbit. I should have read this a little differently because I think the character that actually says this is Eeyore.
Eeyore, oh.
So it should have been, I don't know how it is.
I know, I just realized that.
Robin.
I should. That could be its own, fun game to play, is to say, if you know, maybe I've spent too much time watching Winnie the Pooh, but to say all the quotes with the different character personas.
Do you know the author of the original books?
You're going to say it, I'm going to immediately realize that I can't recall it, but I don't right now.
Okay, well, I'm not going to say it. There is a book. The books have titles. I'm going to give you 3 words as clues. This might be one of the hardest. Okay, so your clues are home, bears, B-E-A-R, apostrophe S, crossing.
No.
They're going to get easier.
I hope so.
I
can't. I don't know.
We had this complete set for my daughter. What if I say A.A.?
No, I don't know who wrote Winnie the Pooh.
The author is A.A. Milne.
Milne, okay, I've seen it on the
M-I-L-N-E.
cover. Okay.
Yeah, and the title of this book is The House at Pooh's Corner.
Okay.
Which I know because my daughter had these, but she didn't even enjoy having them. I don't know if she ever read them.
This is like my call to buy the whole series.
Somebody gave there were 4 or 5 Winnie the Pooh books. I know that the title of one of them is Now We Are 6.
Okay.
Poetry written for 6-year-olds. That one's kind of fun. Yeah, A. Milne. He wrote the Pooh stuff over 100 years ago. So this is
that story. My daughter watches the
Disney Plus or
on Disney Plus. Yes, but I mean there is a newer sort of style, but that original Winnie the Pooh
Yeah.
Just the lessons in it and the characters are just, it's easy. It's easy on the ears. But I did not know. I should know who wrote that.
We did a Pooh theme nursery for my daughter. And then within 2 years, she gave it like her own Pooh theme of its own.
The Children's Museum had this whole Pooh themed like room for a long time. And my daughter, after watching it a million times, went over the little bridge and they had it all. They had like a little carrot garden where she could pull carrots out.
In New York, at the Main Public Library on Fifth Avenue, you can go see the original Winnie the Pooh. I don't know why it's here and not in London.
Oh.
But it is.
I'll have to go. Wait, where in New York?
The Public Library building on Fifth Avenue and 42nd Street,
Park.
right next to Bryant Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's I think it's the children's section is the basement.
Okay.
All right. So no points yet, but there's a lot to go.
Can I guess the title?
The House at Pooh Corner?
I needed to. Yeah. Oh, that's such a niche. Oh.
Yeah, you said Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, but it didn't count. Okay, all right, that's fair. That's fair.
I'm going to give you a half a point.
I got half a point. Okay.
Next one. Quote's going to be hard. You know what? Maybe this is fucking hard too. Maybe I made this too hard. It's not you. All right, here's a quote. For winter was coming. The days were shorter, and frost crawled up the window panes at night. Soon the snow would come. Then the log house would be almost buried in snowdrifts, and the lake and the stream would freeze. There's no way anybody could get that.
That's tough.
Clues.
For winter's coming.
Think about what these words mean. Tiny abode forest. So think of other words for tiny. Tiny means, abode means, and I bet we could get you half a point here.
Little House on the Prairie.
Right, series, again, that has a bunch of books and they all have different words. Tiny abode forest. Little House in the Big. You got Little House on the Prairie for the series. That's another half point for you.
But I never. Little House on the Prairie was not my jam.
Nor mine.
Yeah, I know nothing of Little House on the Prairie.
I think that's more of a, 50 years ago.
That all no, but it just wasn't, I just never got into it. And then I also you know what else? I was never into the American Girl dolls or all those. That just was never.
Oh, we did American Girl dolls. Being an only child, I was sort of surrounded with all the things that my father had wished he could get. So I had a lot of Matchbox cars, and what did I can't remember what I loved as, I never got, I know, so I wouldn't know that one. I see, but I know I should know it. And I've thought about, I'm kind of bringing back all that old nostalgia stuff to do for my daughter. And I thought there was a show about it too, Little House on the Prairie, right? Yeah, there was. That was when I was little.
Never saw.
Yeah, I didn't really watch it. It wasn't one I was into, or anyone in my family was, so we didn't watch it.
Yeah.
We did, with my daughter, we did the American Girl dolls. I loved Matchbox and Hot Rods and stuff, growing up and playing with them and just mashing. But I never tried to make my daughter like any of that.
But she took
I suppose maybe I pushed Legos a little bit, which she kind of likes.
Well, I got all this Australian stuff because my father would bring like Blinky Bill and all these characters that you probably never even heard of, So I kind of have all these odd references, like, the naughty books, Noddy, naughty, and like all these different sort of fairy tale, fantastical things that I got from that sort of British. Beatrix Potter, Peter Rabbit, love, that I was raised on. But
I like some of those.
No, American Girl. I don't know what I got into is like you were either like, sometimes you're either like a Little House on the Prairie person or you're this person, but I'm not sure.
I tried to get my daughter into Star Wars. And when Disney bought Star Wars franchise, I was like, hey, Leia's a Disney princess now.
Technically. I didn't even think of that.
But,
I may or may not have joined the Star Wars Club in the 6th grade. I had not known Star Wars, and then I did get into Star Wars, and then I my thing is the first 3 episodes, loved like the first original three.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing has ever compared to those for me.
I think you're kind.
And that's all these
I am not someone who is a hater of the later movies, Those three originals, though. I mean, I was the kid they made those for. I was an 8-year-old boy when that first movie came out.
All about it.
Just amazed and went to see it multiple times. And
I actually read all of the books before the movies, before they were even talking about continuing,
I don't read.
Yeah, I remember I did do that, but I'm sorry I missed the quote. Okay, what's next?
Yeah. Next one's a classic, also easy to not know.
Oh no.
We're gonna get to some fucking easier ones. Don't worry, don't worry. You're gonna do this. Nobody else would get this either. One winter morning, Peter woke up and looked out the window. Snow had fallen during the night. That's it. It's a very simple, famous, award-winning children's book. What if I give you the clues? Blustery, 24 hours.
Oh, windy day or snowy day.
The Snowy Day! Yes, you got a point for that.
Day.
Is
that the one with the little boy in the red?
Yes.
Yeah, Snowy Day. I have that at home to read to her. Yes.
It is. And I remember he's in the red coat too, with the front of the book.
Yeah, the iconic cover of that.
Yeah. It's I think it's an early 1960s, 50s or 60s book.
That's a great, yes. And yeah.
It is also known, as I looked this up, was researching this earlier, it was one of the first children's books to feature a child of color as the protagonist, hero.
Wonderful.
Main person.
I have that book.
I wouldn't know this, but do you know who wrote it?
I know.
Ezra Jack Keats.
Ezra Keats. Okay.
You got 2 points already because you got half, now one.
Okay. I'll take my halves.
All right.
Okay.
This one is even older than the last two, but you might get it. So, the little girl went on with her little naked feet, which were quite red and blue with the cold. In an old apron, she carried a number of matches and had a bundle of them in her hands. No one had bought anything of her the whole day, nor had anyone even given her a penny. Shivering with cold and hunger, she crept along. Poor little child, she looked the picture of misery. The snowflakes fell on her long, fair hair, which hung in curls on her shoulders, but she regarded them not. Most important phrase in here, in an old apron she carried a number of matches.
What are my clues?
Danish mermaid storyteller.
Mermaid?
This mermaid does not relate to this quote, but it relates to the author's most famous story. So he's a writer of fairy tales. His most famous fairy tale is about a mermaid. This one I knew before looking it up. Maybe it's not as popular as I thought it was.
Or I had a very weird childhood. I don't know.
What if I give you The Little?
No.
Right.
Am I embarrassing myself?
No. You're embarrassing me. The Little Match Girl. Maybe that's not something people know very well.
Part of it. What's The Little Match Girl?
Hans Christian Andersen is the guy who wrote The Little Mermaid.
Sure. Okay.
Also wrote The Little Match Girl. The Little Mermaid is actually a very different fairy tale from what...
All the fairy tales are very different,
yeah.
I can't remember. What is that's right. What is the actual story?
I think she turns to sea foam or something, and she doesn't end up with the prince. She just turns to foam and is... for eternity, just hitting the shore. Getting pounded on the shore.
Yeah. They do now, like, there's a whole account, like a guy that does, like, he's the prince of a Disney movie. Mm-hmm. And he's like, so what do you mean she was on the beach? And he's like, yeah. And she was naked? Yeah. And she couldn't talk. And he's like, right. And I love her. Or they do, like, so she was asleep in the woods. Yeah. And and you kissed her while she was sleeping. Right? And he's like, I'm going to marry her. Like, it's like very like the reality
Have you
of
seen?
which is probably actually scarier than
you just said Into the Woods too. It's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're kind of dumb.
Right. And that's actually like, if you actually think about it, really, the way it was Disneyfied and normalized, it's probably actually scarier than the original fairy tales, Well, that's like, we always think of these sort of like fun things, but the story of Krampus,
Yeah.
is like, I like to bring Krampus into the Christmas conversation every now and again.
The next one, I think you can get. You're getting at least 1 point from this.
Okay.
Play tricks, laughed the cat. Oh, my, no. I just want to go in to get out of the snow. Keep your mind on your work. You just stay there, you two. I will go in the house and find something to do.
That is The Cat in the Hat, Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss is correct.
Wait, not The Cat in the Hat.
It is. You got a big part of it, but it's a sequel. Your clues are the first two words aren't going to matter because you already know them. Feline Chapeau returns. There's a second book, The Cat in the Hat. 2 words. The Cat in the Hat.
The Cat in the Hat comes back.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Nice. You are up to 4 points.
4 points. I actually literally was reading about how Dr. Seuss, because I spent time now in Southern California, how he was from like the
Springfield or Massachusetts, right?
Wait, yeah, but he wrote, like, when you look at the images of, no, but he had lived in San Diego then, right?
Maybe.
Do I need to fact check
There's
this now?
there's a Dr. Seuss park and museum in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Okay.
There are sculptures of some of the characters.
I mean, so many things. The Norman Rockwell Museum we have.
I love the Norman Rockwell Museum.
I have not been. I'm dying to go.
I haven't been in about 20 years.
I love Norman Rockwell's work.
You ever want someone to come with you on a short road trip? I would go out there. And
yes. Okay. So that's what it is. He's from Springfield, but he died in La Jolla.
Okay, La Jolla.
So he had gone out there, and the thing is that sort of, if you look at the hills, California.
The hills are alive.
Right, with the sound of the cat and the with thing 1 and thing 2. But, the sort of way that he illustrated the hills with the sort of homes spotted is sort of, a nod to in San Diego, looking at the landscape there.
Okay.
Yes, but I Springfield best. And that's the Norman Rockwell Museum is out that way too, isn't it?
It's a little further west. There is also a home of Daniel Chester French is right near the Norman Rockwell Museum.
Okay.
Daniel Chester French was a sculptor who sculpted the Lincoln Memorial.
Oh.
So there's a little Lincoln Memorial there and a bunch of other stuff you can look at.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's not something that would entertain your children at all.
No, but it's a road trip for
that age.
I've been to Sturbridge Village recently.
Soon though, like Sturbridge Village, Mystic Seaport. Mystic Seaport is like a nautical Sturbridge Village.
You need to do a whole segment on how that time period froze food, because they actually did, right? They used the ice.
They did.
Like, what was I watching something? They would pull ice in during the winter. Oh no, I'm thinking of Frozen. I really need to get out of the house with my kids more. But they would harvest ice, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, where are they harvesting the ice? Like, what? I didn't understand this. That it was actually like brought in to be used.
On our first couple of episodes, I did some frozen food trivia with Mike, and Max is going to bring back some frozen food trivia. But we did some of the history,
right?
Those first couple, and like thousands of years ago, some civilizations were already freezing food. It didn't really become popular until like kind of 19th century. Before that, the only frozen food were people who lived near snow and ice who could throw food literally just in the ice.
On the ice, yeah.
Yeah. Moving ice from one place to another wasn't really until like mid 1800s, I think, or 1700s, but not really earlier than that. And then refrigeration and freeziferation.
And now we actually have literal like artistic ways to have ice cubes.
Yeah. We at some point we were going
Artisan ice.
At some point we're going to review ice cubes.
Yes.
I found some that claim to be slow melting ice.
I would like that.
I want to try those.
Yes.
Maybe we'll do that with some summer drinks.
Yes.
All right. Last one, and I am pretty confident that you can get 2 points off of this.
Okay.
I'm gonna talk you through it until you get it.
I don't want to let you down. Okay, let me see.
There's a character name in this, but it's far from the most popular character in the book. The autumn days grew shorter. Lurvy brought the squashes and pumpkins in from the garden and piled them on the barn floor where they wouldn't get nipped on frosty nights. The maples and birches turned bright colors, and the wind shook them and they dropped their leaves one by one to the ground. Under the wild apple trees in the pasture, the little red apples lay thick on the ground, and the sheep gnawed them, and the geese gnawed them, and foxes came in the night and sniffed them. I think the clues are going to help a lot. Your 3 words for your clues: spider, pig, friendship.
Charlotte's Web.
It is Charlotte's Web. Do you know who wrote that?
That now my mom brain is kicking in. Oh my gosh. White. E.B. White.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. E.B. White.
Okay.
He wrote these like stylistic guides to tell people how to put 2 spaces after a period in that. He was overruled 40 years later. But that brings you to
a few points.
4, 6. You won the game.
I feel like I probably could have, if I had a few more years where I was actually rereading these stories to my kids and they'd be fresh in my brain.
Yeah.
I'll come back and we'll talk about, I guess, frozen treats at the age of small children. And then I'll have like a better score.
Yeah. I don't think I had anything too obscure here, but there were some obscurities. Like, people know Winnie the Pooh, but not that The House at Pooh Corner was one of the books, or Little House in the Big Woods. Yeah.
That's your extensive knowledge.
I left the easy to get ones, The Cat in the Hat and the Charlotte's Web, for the end. So you got a huge bunch of points at the end.
Yes.
We are done here.
All right.
Thank you so much for being a guest.
Yes.
I need to credit and thank Substrates. Find them at substrates.bandcamp.com for our music. Find us online at thefrozeprose.com. That will give you links to our social media on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Facebook, just look up the Froze Bros. The others, _Froze_Bros. And listen to more of us. Find us on our website or on Spotify, Apple, other places. Email us at frozebrospod@gmail.com. Send us an email. We will send you a free sticker. Micala, thank you again.
I was happy to be here.
We want you back, and we will eat some ice cream.
Yes. My other survival skill as a mother.
Mm-hmm. I didn't prep you for this goodbye, but we end all of our episodes with, I'll say it first, and you can repeat it with me.
Okay.
Fro you later. Fro you later.
It's not intolerable, right? Surprisingly.